According to Mike and Tony, is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised. Pierce, it's that time. It's Friday night, episode 124. We're back. What's up, man?
Back. Friday. Another Friday.
Another Friday. It was a crazy week. It was weird. I had a short week this week, but it felt long. You ever have those before?
Yeah. But it wasn't a short week for me because I had to work every day. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you didn't have Monday off, right? Damn. We had Monday off, and then we had like a teacher training day on Tuesday. So that's always like pretty laid back compared to a normal teaching day. And then Wednesdays are we teach remote. So it felt like I had like this like 5-day weekend type of thing. And I was like, sweet, it's a short week. And then by Thursday, dude, I was trashed. I had a 3-hour class last night and all this stuff too. I was a mess. I literally fell asleep after work today. That's how bad it was. Man, we got a guest today. A good old friend, the homie from back in the day, my road dog, my brother. What's up, Dom Gordon?
What's up?
How you doing, bro?
I'm good. Blessed and highly favored, you know?
Yes, sir. Down there in the Texas, huh?
Oh yeah, over here in Garland, Texas.
Garland, Texas.
I picked up a couple of the speech stuff, but I'll say you kidding or something like that, or like Maine. I say Maine now more than man. But it's been cool.
So now you sound like Terrence Howard all the time.
Yeah, I'm like, what up, Maine?
What up, Maine? What up, Maine?
Yeah.
Yes, crazy weather, crazy situations down there with the cold and everything, huh?
I know, it was wild. Like we were lucky. Like a lot of people have lost power for days. We lost it for like maybe 6 hours, but it was freezing. Like I had to wear a sweater and my sweatshirt to go to sleep. Otherwise, I don't know, I might have got sick or something.
Dang, that's so crazy, man. And I heard something crazy. I don't know if it was true. My dad was telling me he saw like on the news or something that the state of Texas has like, it was like 3 or 4, or maybe it was more. Maybe it was like 10 or something like that. What do you call them? Snow plows? Is that real?
Yeah, they don't even really plan for that because it never snows like that there. It snows sometimes, and then like everything's closed for like a day or two. But this was like a blizzard.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Stuff's getting wild, dude. I'm teaching climate change right now. It's a unit we're doing in my English class. I teach English language development, so we talk about all kinds of different stuff. But we're doing a unit on climate change, and we're talking about all that stuff. And we actually just last week read an article on how, as a result of climate change, that there's like more and more snow falling in places where it didn't used to fall. So that's it was right in line, like a real world example there, man. That's nuts. But it kind of caught me off guard because I knew they had some snow down there. So I was like, I couldn't believe you guys only had a few snow plows. I was like, you guys were up shit creek there for a bit.
Yeah, there was no ice, like salt for the roads or anything. Like all the roads was just plain ice. Like we went to get groceries and we were driving like 2 miles an hour. People were mad, but it was like, I'm not, you know what I mean? Because if you go fast and you hit some ice, you're gonna, it was scary actually sometimes.
Yeah. I bet.
It was funny because like you see all those memes out there, and it's saying like it's showing like old people in a car, and it says people in Texas when it's snowing, and they're all like this. Yeah. And then it was like people out of when it's snowing, and it's like the dude's like this.
Yeah, it's because you have snow plows.
Look at this food.
You don't have none of that.
Yeah. Oh man, that's wild, dude. I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad it was only 6 hours. That's real shit, dude. Real people really died, you know? Like people died down there because of the cold.
I felt really bad for the people who lost their lives during this time or didn't have the food or whatever they couldn't get. Because a lot of people's water was cut off too. Like it was definitely
froze.
Like,
Froze up. Yeah,
burst pipes, all that stuff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, I have a friend. She is down in Texas too, and she said all those grocery stores are wiped out. Like there's like no milk, no groceries.
Not like I went to Aldi's, is like a local grocery store. The whole meat the whole meat aisle was pretty much gone. I was lucky to get some bratwurst.
Damn, I love brats. You got me thinking about meat now, bro. I decided this year, Mike, I'm doing Lent with Myra this year, so I'm only eating.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we're just eating only fish is the only like meat we're eating, but I'm still doing it's
on
like
Fridays.
Huh? Yeah. No, she does it every day.
Fish on Fridays only. Oh.
Yeah, no, yeah, but when she does Lent every year when she does it, she does like, and not only does she does more than the 40 days too. She goes all the way to Easter. So I thought about it the last couple of years, and I was like, I don't know if I could do it. And then this year I was like, screw it, let's do it. I got this.
Aren't you only supposed to eat like fish on Fridays only?
Yeah, that's
not every day.
Yeah, that's typically how they do it. But Myra's done it since I've known her. She goes hardcore. Like she goes every single day from that period from Ash Wednesday until Easter. She doesn't do any of it. So it's like I looked at technically, I guess what we're doing is what they call it, lacto-ova pescatarian. So I'm eating eggs and cheese and stuff like that still. And eating fish. You got to be careful though, dude. You got to plan because you could fall down a junk food rabbit hole real fast because it's so easy because it's all vegetarian. You know what I mean? You could eat Doritos all damn day. So I'll try to be good. But yeah, no, that sounds good. Bratwurst is one of my favorite though, dude. That stuff is good. Dude, let's jump into it. I want to talk about your book. You got a book out. It has been really successful. You've got all 5-star ratings on Amazon. Dude, I got it today and I read it. People are going to think I'm smart when I say that, but really it's a poetry book and it's, what is it, like 50, 60 pages, something like that?
Only like 50. It's not
50. Okay. I was trying to make myself sound smarter. It was like 100 pages or something. No, it was good, dude. It was fire. I picked out some stuff in there I wanted to maybe talk about a little bit. But why don't you tell us a little bit about it? How long did it take you to put together? I have a lot of questions for you about it, but why don't you introduce it a little bit?
Okay, so the book is called Melon and Muse. I put it together, like the collection, like putting it together. I did that with my friend Jaime. He hit me up and was like, do you want to make a poetry book? And I'm like, well, I was thinking about doing that later in life, but shoot, might as well, like right now, like time is of the essence, I suppose. So
yeah,
we got it together. It's like a collection of poems from, I want to say 2013 to now. So some of those poems are like pretty old, but a lot of them are within the last couple of years.
Dang, that's cool. Yeah, I was curious. I didn't know how old some of that stuff was. I like you divided it into sections. So it's
yeah. I'm a theater geek or whatever. So I decided to make it 3 acts. The first act is relationships. The second act is mental health, and the third act is Black empowerment.
Yeah, that was dope. That last section actually ended up being my favorite section.
Really?
Yeah, because I kind of was like, well, I don't know if I'll read the whole thing today. I started reading and then I just got really into it, dude. And it was just like one after another after another. And poems are like that. You can go through them really fast. Some of them I had to pause a little bit and just think about them, some of the stuff you had in there. But once I got to that last section, I was kind of not planning on finishing. I was like, well, I'll take a look at this later or whatever. I couldn't stop, dude. They were so good, bro. I was going to actually ask you some of them, if you don't mind, like if you're cool with it, like I said, I teach English. I got a lot of freedom in the type of curriculum we do in that class. I'd love to bring some of the poetry in there.
You have to say the N-word, though.
Oh no, it would be a very careful selection. I'm used to that though. I was
just joking. No, but you definitely can use. I was just messing with you, bro. I don't want to put you in that position. Yeah, you can definitely read the poems at the school.
Oh man, I love that. Yeah, no, it was really good. Okay, so it was about 2013 on. You were writing these. Now you've been writing poetry your whole life, dude. I've told you this before. You're one of the most gifted people with words that I know.
Thank you. Like I've been writing since I was about 10. I want to say. Started in 4th grade. I would write poetry for my English papers because I sucked at writing papers. So I just would write poetry and I get the same credit because it's a creative writing or whatever. Yeah. And I started to love it. I got away from it in middle school and in high school. Towards my senior year, I picked it back up. And in college, I was in my theater classes in college, just writing poems all the time. Like I wasn't even paying attention half the time. writing poems and songs. That's what I was doing.
Yeah, and I've talked about it here on the show a couple of times. Me and you got together that one famous time to write some music together. And what I was most blown away was how prolific you are. Like you just sit down and just stuff just starts coming to you. Like it's just, that's why I say gifted. I don't use that word lightly. I think that you just have a natural ability to put words together in a fashion that just touches people, man. It really gets an emotional response.
Yeah, I feel like because I was like, my dad and my mom divorced at like 9 when I was 9. So I was really raised by my mom. So I got to see the full range of emotions being raised by a woman. So I became more in touch with my emotions, and it helped me be able to express myself. Like I'm not the best talker, but if I'm writing it down, I can go off sometimes.
Damn, that's really interesting that you say that about being raised by your mother. Because it was kind of similar for me too. My real dad wasn't really around when I was younger. My parents got divorced when I was 12. And so then I had my mom and my sister. So for a bit, I was in a house, with women. Eventually my stepdad came into the picture and he was hella cool. But I did have a lot, all those younger years, it was my mom too. So I do tend, Pierce will probably vouch for that. I'm a pretty emotional dude in general. I'm in touch with my whole range of emotions. Pierce isn't.
Yeah.
I send him a text message. He'll text me back one word. Yes. No.
No,
Dollar likes to leave me like.
Oh, go ahead.
As a Dollar likes to leave me like 2-minute voicemails.
Luckily, my dad was in my life, and my brother helped raise me. But for the most part, it was my mom and my sister were at the house at the same time because my brother went out to college, and I was really raised by women.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Dom, I've known you for a very long time, dude, and I was shocked. Like in the beginning, I think it was like the introduction that you wrote. I didn't know you had so many brothers and sisters, dude.
Oh, at the end, those are my a lot of those are my god brothers and god sisters. I don't really just consider them god brothers or god sisters. Those are my brothers and sisters.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was in the introduction section, I think, because where I read it. Because that's at first I told you before I was having trouble downloading it. So it was like, oh, you could go ahead and look at this free section on Kindle, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll check that out. It was the introduction, and then it was the what is it called, the foreword or whatever that Avery wrote. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was literally it. And I was like, I don't even get to read one poem. So I got it all fixed now. So I was able to read the whole thing. Plus, I got a physical copy coming. So I'm going to take care of that. And
I'll sign that for you when I get back in town for sure.
Oh, I love that. Are you coming back to Colorado anytime soon?
Yeah, soon. Like maybe beginning of summer, hopefully.
Okay. Yeah, probably a lot depends on COVID situation and all that, huh?
Yeah, it's like we gotta I'm not like the most what's the word I'm looking for? Like I just don't really trust going to the airport right now, honestly.
Oh yeah.
I don't have a lot of faith in that. So I want to wait until we can drive over there. Yeah,
for sure, man. Well, you got to come see us if you come by, for sure. We're hoping pretty soon. We're hoping eventually be back to our doing podcasts in person again. We've been doing the Zoom thing for a while, but as things do get better, I saw Pierce. A lot of places in Colorado are moving the dial now. I saw like all the casinos and stuff all moved to like a code blue. I think we're like, are we yellow here in Denver? I can't remember now, but it's all like, I know the dial's moving, getting like safer and safer all the time. I haven't looked at numbers in a while. Have you?
Well, it's also, well, I want to say that a lot of businesses as well have 5-star safety ratings. So they've gone through this extra thing with the Tri-County Health or like the different, counties or whatever. And so they can always operate one level ahead of the current COVID dial. So if it ever goes red, like gyms and restaurants, like places that are 5-star safety certified, can always operate on one dial ahead. So it's real nice because those are the places you want to go to. Those are the most trusted because they're, they've been inspected by the health inspector. They make sure that the HVAC units are clean, operative, making sure that they're cleanings, doing all this stuff too. So it's kind of crazy and it's kind of cool, but we are trending down as far as the state as a whole, which is really, really cool. But we're kind of moving down.
Yeah, Colorado is a good place to be for that. And we've talked about that, dude, because like in California, we've talked about like the full on shutdown and, you know, the restaurant industries are hit harder than anything else for that. But the whole thing has been weird to me because like we talked about the fact that California had total lockdown, but their numbers were just skyrocketing, bro. Like they were out of control at the same time they were locked down. And then also you think about that, like restaurants, their ass is always up against the wall, right? Because they've always got inspectors coming in. They've always got to be by the book or they get shut down. So it just has seemed weird to me that restaurants have been forced to completely close down in some places like in California. Whereas what's happening is that when they close down, then people are like, well, I'll just go to my friend's house then. You know what I mean? Or I'll just go hang out with my family. And then the COVID still keeps spreading and it just keeps getting out of control. So, well, that's good. That's good stuff. It's good to hear. What do you think of the vaccines, Dom? Are you gonna get one, or have you gotten one, or where are you at with that?
I think I take one. I don't, I've taken like medication that I don't really know what's in it, so that's the worst that can happen, I guess.
What's the worst? That's funny.
I turned into a zombie. That's cool. Like at least that's pretty lit, actually.
Well, I had my first shot a few weeks back. I only turned into a zombie for like a day, and then it was back to normal. So no ill effects so far for me. I'm good.
That's good. That's good. When are you taking next? When are you taking next one?
March 4th, I'm going back in to take that second shot.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like for me, just it's better to at least try to get through this, And if we can all be back, at least like what's the percentage? Was it 70% or 60%?
I don't know. Yeah, it was one of the two. Do you know, Pierce? 60 or 70%? They say like the number we have to hit before we can kind of squash it.
I think it's 70. Yeah.
Yeah. So 70%, and then we have herd immunity or some like wording like that.
Yeah, I don't know the word.
Ish. Yeah. Everyone was saying herd immunity before this, but I mean, it's super contagious.
Yeah.
Well, things are getting better. I really feel like good things are on the horizon with it. Hopefully we'll get back to normal. But yeah, I think the vaccine's a big part of that. I think if enough people get it, then it just becomes something that you don't have to stress. You don't have to worry about all the time. But yeah, man, good stuff. What is the deal with Texas? How are your guys' numbers down there? I know at one point it was out of control down there, but I think it's better now.
Texas is pretty open, so I don't know. But like where we are, like everyone wears their mask. Like you can't go anywhere without having a mask on, which is pretty cool. I don't know how it is in other places, but people take it seriously. But it's pretty open. Like you can go places.
Yeah, for sure. So they're on the downtrend as well. Looks like numbers are a bit higher. You guys have been running a 7-day average of about 5,400, I guess, new cases per day. But today was only 2,387, which is really close to where Colorado's at. So it seems like it's going down there as well. Yeah. Well, good stuff, man. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear you're doing well. When did you go to Texas? How long have you been down there for?
A year in May.
A year in May. Okay. That's cool. Yeah. You gonna stay there a while? You liking it? You kind of planting your feet?
I'm liking it. It's pretty cool. It's really chill. Like I got like a Southern soul anyway, so it's like it's a good place for me. I'm close to where my dad is. He's in Alabama. I'm gonna go visit him when COVID gets more in control. We originally moved out here because of music. So Avery's been recording in South Carolina and Atlanta, and we're trying to get the ball rolling on all our creative stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, you sent me the one song, the new song that he's got out, and then there was the one before that. I wish I could remember. I can't remember either of the names right off the top of my head. But I love both of them, man. That you guys
Storm coming, and I think the other one End Times or something like that.
Yeah, I think End Time's the older one, right? That's the one I think I had heard that before. But just fire, dude. I can't wait for you guys to get going and doing stuff again. And if you're ever coming through here in Colorado, me and Mike in a heartbeat, I'm sure Mike is on the same page. We would go see you guys for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You'll be seeing Abe. I'm like more focused on writing now. So
okay.
I'll be there though. You'll see me, but I'm not. He's gonna be the one rocking the stage.
Yeah. You had a couple people online saying that they love the new song.
Fired.
Oh yeah, The song is amazing. Like the dude's a genius. Like me, Abe and Antoine are like creative brothers. And I always tell Abe, like, when you want to go, like, you go. Like, so I'm proud of him.
Hell yeah. We'll have to have him on again too, Pierce. I'll reach out to him too and see if we can get him, maybe just do a Zoom thing for now. And if we have him on, you got to come on too, Dom. And then Couch Guy was going to be here tonight. He had some family stuff come up, so he's not here tonight.
Yeah, he told me.
Yeah, we'll get him on again. He's nuts. Did you hear that whole last episode?
I watched most of it. That's Mark. Mark's you understand we've been best friends for like 10 plus years. I know how crazy he is.
Well, that's what I told Dollar. He goes, when he was like, hey, Mark's not going to come on. I was like, shit, Alyssa probably saw the last podcast and those kids running around like crazy and said, Mark, you can't be on the podcast.
Yeah, no doubt. That's what we told him. Like, you're never going to be.
Definitely.
That was so wild.
That's what it was.
Yeah, all of a sudden his daughter popped up with lipstick all over her face, and he's like, "Oh yeah, it's
looking like the Joker, dude." Like,
yeah, he's so crazy. You know, what's interesting with Couch Guy is that almost every time when he's on the show, he's been on the show a million times, but every time when he's on, he's always just sort of the couch guy, right? He's like there, and then we usually have a guest or something. But when you have Couch Guy on as your guest, oh my God, shit got wild. He's so crazy. He's crazy. That you can always count on him for his absolute craziness. And I've known him a long time too. He's definitely a nut. He's got two sides though. We saw a little bit on that last episode. He was talking about some work situations. Some of them were kind of crazy, but he is really. He's very good at his job. He's a really talented dude.
He's the one that got me my job at Wells Fargo when we were working together. It was wild times.
Yeah, that's funny. I almost worked at Wells Fargo one time, and it was through him as well. Yeah, that's crazy. Hey man, let's talk a little bit about. I want to talk about the book a little bit because I don't know if I should. I don't know if you even would want me to read any of these, but I think it was number 31.
Go ahead, read it.
Okay, I'm gonna try and do it justice.
Do you want me to read it? I got the book here.
Hey, yeah, if you would read it, that would be honest. That would be the best way to go there. Hear it straight from your voice. Oh, that'd be sweet. Yeah, dude.
I'm gonna use a British accent. I'm playing.
Start doing it on a wild.
31, you said?
Yeah, 31, dude. And it was nothing like fancy. Like it wasn't like a whole bunch of crazy rhyming. There was nothing like technically complicated about it. It was just super straightforward. That's what I always love about your shit, man. It's really straightforward, really honest. That one was powerful to me.
Okay, let me see. You turn your back, they shoot you. You run away, they shoot you. Reach for the phone, they shoot you. Walk in the street, they shoot you. Go to the store, they shoot you. Put your hands in the sky, they shoot you. But we're supposed to turn our cheek. Humble ourselves for what reason? We are humans.
Yeah. Damn, it was just, like I said, there was nothing, the rhyme scheme. It was just straight up. It was truth. It was like when you hit it like that, just one sentence after another, man, I just thought I was down. I was reading some of them too, where it was one where you were like, if you're an ally, I'm down. I'm like, bro, I'm an ally. Because you said one of your lines in one of your poems said something like, if you're ambiguous, I can't fuck with you. Or I can't remember how you put it. It was like, it's like if you're undecided or if you're on the fence, I can't really fuck with you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because there's something about not speaking up, not saying something right now, and not, like either it's people want to be in the middle and go, oh, I don't really know about Black Lives Matter. I'm kind of like, I'm sort of in the middle, and like to me that speaks volumes already with the situation.
For me, it's like people try to make Black Lives Matter to people who are in the movement when it's the statement for me. It's the statement. Like I don't even know any of the people who are in charge of that organization.
Yep, that's actually a big problem with it, I think, for like outside perception of it, right? Because it's not like this cohesive organization. It's got one leader at the top. It's not really like that. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that's the beauty of it though, because I told my friend who was because I used to live in Oregon, and there's a lot of activists there for like the forest and stuff, and what was it called? I can't think of the name, but I told him like when you have a leader, they can defame the leader. They can besmirch the leader. So the fact that Black Lives Matter doesn't have one is probably better for it.
Yeah. The only thing that bothers me about it is they just like a lot of times crazy shit happens. And there's even been like what's the word I'm looking for, where people go in and they're basically trying to act like they're Black Lives Matter and just fucking shit up just to taint the name or whatever. That's a problem with that too, because there's nobody that can come out and like clearly say, yo, look, that's not us, right? But anybody who understands what the message is understands that's not what it's about, and understands that there's a lot of saboteur.
It's like kind of like the thing with like the main reason I wrote this book at this time was because I was writing these poems, like the Black empowerment poems, and I couldn't go protest because I had just moved to Dallas or to Garland, and I was like, I don't want to be out there, not know my surroundings, and get like arrested or something, and just be like, I don't know what's going on. I don't even know what like part of the city I'm in. So I would write the poems that I wrote in solidarity, and to show that I care about what was going on.
Dude, I love it, man. And that's a smart move too. And that I was actually had that question I wanted to ask you, so that answers that for me. I had a feeling just by reading it that those were the poems that you wrote most recently. So that definitely holds true. That's cool, man. There was a line in poem. I don't know if you just call them poem 38 or whatever. I noticed none of them had titles. I kind of like that. I like that there was just numbers, like chapter numbers or whatever.
Yeah, that was a last minute decision. I thought that pretty dope. There's no real reason behind
it. I like the end though of 38. It's the second to last line where you just say, all lives matter, no motherfucking duh. Right. Because I thought the reason I liked that so much was because you were kind of hitting at that, because you hear that all the time, right? You hear people say in response, say, all lives matter, bro. Or you hear the blue lives matter, stuff like that in response. But that's the thing. People are missing the point. We're missing where we are in history right now. We're missing what's happening in our society around us, and what the whole point of saying Black Lives Matter is. You could say all lives matter, but I couldn't have put it better myself, dude. It's like, no motherfucking doubt. Obviously all lives matter, right?
But well, the thing that can't matter if you don't care about us.
Well, the thing that drives me crazy about all those statements, when people was like, Black Lives Matters, when it's like, well, blue, it doesn't mean, surely I don't care about blue lives, or I don't care about this and that, it's just, at the moment, Black Lives Matters. It's just making it of awareness. But so many people get caught up in that when it says Black Lives Matters, they think automatically that no other lives matter but the Black Lives Matter or blue lives matter at that. It's like, what's the name? Trevor from The Daily Show put it perfectly. He goes, it's like you're either a cat person or a dog person. He's like, well, I love dogs. Well, then you don't like cats. He's like, well, no, I like cats. Well, no, then you can't like dogs then. He's like, no, I like dogs and cats. Like, no, you have to have one or the other. Can't have both.
Yeah, no doubt. Dude, I love Trevor Noah. He cracks me up. But I think it comes out of that mentality, right? Of like people not acknowledging the reality of our situation, the history that we're built on, and like what those consequences look like in modern society. It's people who are in denial. It's the same. A lot of times I hear that from the same people that are like, dude, it's over. Slavery is over. Get over it. It's all fine. You know what I mean? To me, that's that same perspective. That's like, well, bro, why are Black lives special? All lives matter. But you're like, but look around, dude. Are people all getting, killed by police officers in the street at the same rate? We know that statistically, that's not the truth. Look at poverty in this country. Look how disproportionate it is for ethnic minorities, right? That's the reality of the situation. And so I kind of get a little irritated with that stuff, because I just feel like you're overlooking the reality of the situation. This stuff, you can literally back this stuff up scientifically. You can look at our society and you can predict how much money's going to make, how somebody's going to make in their life based on where they live and the color of their skin. And that's sad, but it's real. And I think it's sort of akin to like the Black Lives Matter thing. Like, because there's no like central person doing that, it's systemic racism, right? So it's just like embedded in our culture. There's no like one person you could go to, which makes it just makes it way harder to fix the problem. But I think a lot of that's where that comes from, is it's that perspective of,
I was just like reading something about how like you remember Jesse Owens at the Berlin Olympics. He won 4 medals. He didn't get invited to the White House because he was Black. And the people say like Trump's the most racist. There were literally presidents during slavery. You're telling me that he's more racist than them? He's equally as racist, because they were racist.
Yeah, that's a good point, man.
There's presidents during segregation. Like, those were very racist times. we couldn't have this conversation. You would not be allowed to talk to me on any type of thing because of the segregation and the slavery. So like how we have a racist past and we don't address it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's just like anything, when you have history like that and you have a past like that, I don't understand how you don't make the connection that it's going to have ramifications in the present. Like it's going to have an effect on our society. And it's not that like there's, this secret thing where people that exists too. I mean, there's definitely like people out there that are straight up fucking racist. But the real problem we have is the system, man. The system's all geared in a way to where we all look at it from this one perspective. Yeah, it's really crazy, man. Those poems are so powerful, dude. I loved all of those.
I'm going to show the where the people can see it. Show where the people can see.
Yeah.
So the people that are watching live here or beyond YouTube is a little later. There we go.
There it is.
There. And look at, I did it. I also purchased as well.
Yeah. Did you go with the digital version or did you get a paperback?
Yeah, I have I'm getting old, so Tier got me a Kindle.
Oh yeah.
So I've been reading books on my Kindle.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Oh. Yeah, that's cool. Me too. I got a Kindle too. I read a lot of stuff on that, so that's why I wanted to get it on there too. And I just want that physical copy just to have it, man. How'd you come up with the name? What made you think of the name?
The relationship part of it, like when I was Dom Empey, when I was doing the solo stuff, a lot of the songs were love songs or relationship songs. And I remember I was trying to do those songs when me and Avery and Elvis got together. And then one day Avery was like, "Are you in love?" I was like, "No." He's like, "Why are you writing love songs?" I was like, "Dude, that's fucked up, but okay, I'll stop."
Okay, I'll stop.
So I started writing about other stuff, but the whole Melon and Muse thing is the Muse was always a Black woman for the love song.
Gotcha. And then the melanin, I almost felt like that ties in, right? Because melanin is it's the thing in your skin that it's the brown, man. It's what protects you from the sun. The pigment in your skin. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a beautiful name, dude. And I was also saying too about the picture that you chose. Can I ask who that is on the cover of your?
That is my homegirl, Cody.
Okay.
We went to Central together. Yeah, I recently started talking to her we're friends. And I asked her, I was like, "Can you be on my cover?" I know it's like confusing because my name's Dominique, so like people were like, "Oh, congratulations to her." I'm like, "Dude, that sucks."
Like me.
Oh man, see, and that's funny.
I'm so proud of her. Like, I'm a dude.
Yeah. Like, it is a unisex name, damn it.
Oh shit, that is hilarious. That's funny to me. I almost thought it was intentional like that because it did work out like that, where I was like, oh, it's just he's like staying a little bit ambiguous. But then I saw there's a picture of you on the back cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put myself on the back. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff, dude. And the other thing that struck me was right there in your dedication. You talked about the very first thing you said was, "First and foremost, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ." That was powerful, dude. And what I love about you is that like it comes from a place of, I don't know, quietness, man, because I kind of have a problem. I've talked a lot about this. I went to a Christian church for a long time and I was raised Christian. I grew up around Pentecostals. My uncle's a preacher, all that stuff. And so I grew up and I went through various phases in my life. There were times where I was, dedicated 100% to the religion. There were times where I literally became atheist and was just talking about it. I thought it was all bullshit. And then I was talking to Mike about how it was actually a college physics class that brought me back to God, where I was like, damn, like there's a lot of power in the universe. And like this can't just be coincidence. Right. And so I came full circle. I've been very much into Buddhism most of my life. But a lot of the problem I've had, especially with like typical American evangelical Christian churches, is like the churches I've attended, I found a lot of, hypocrites and stuff like that there. But it was more like it felt like a show all the time. It felt like people were like, "Look at me, I'm Christian, I believe in Jesus, you should believe in Jesus." And it was like this big show, right? And even a lot of the churches you go to now, there's like these big ass concerts and giant lights, and it's like almost like a rock star type of thing. But what I love about you is you never talk about it, bro. I never hear you talk about it, but you walk the walk, and that's what I feel like we need to see more when we look.
Oh
around.
yeah. I think half the reason I didn't talk about it was because I was struggling with it. You know, when we were down Los Frazier, like all the songs were about demons and stuff because of my mental health situation. I'm schizoaffective. So I was hearing voices, and the voices weren't nice voices. They were all demons and stuff like that. So I stopped believing and started writing about what I was experiencing. But it was my homegirl Jess, my sis Jess, who told me like, you don't have to go that route because he still loves you. And it kind of reinvigorated my faith. And throughout the years, it's just gotten stronger. And you know, like I know what you mean by like the whole show thing, but I've realized you don't study the word for other people, you study it for yourself.
Yeah, 100%, man. And I love that you touched on the whole mental health section. We haven't even talked about that at all. Dude, some of that stuff had me tearing up, bro. That stuff was powerful. And again, that's what I love about all of your art that you've created over the years, whether it's music and lyrics and all that stuff. It was just so raw and real. And I really appreciated you sharing so much of that, because that's not something that we talk a lot about as a society. It's like a huge problem in this country, mental health. And it's one of those things that we just sort of sweep under the rug all the time. But like hearing your personal experiences, like what you were talking about, hearing like demon voices and stuff like that. Dude, it was really good. It was really powerful. I liked, there was one line, where was it at? I like that line. Oh, actually, I don't know if this was in that section. I think this was actually in the relationship one. I just came across this. I hope you don't mind. I took a bunch of screenshots of these as I was. But there's a line in there that said, I reek of Hennessy and toxic masculinity. I was like, oh yeah, shit.
Yeah, that's number 7, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone likes that one. That's a funny story, but not a funny story, like funny, but like coincidental or whatever. I wrote that because I was in a relationship with somebody, a girl who we would drink. All we would do together is drink, and then sometimes she would get physical with me, and it's like, all right, I gotta let you go. I gotta cut you loose. So it's kind of like a role reversal, like as if I was doing it to her.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting, man. Yeah, some of these, I feel like I could sit down with you for hours and just ask you about like what was behind each one of these. But I don't want to do that because I think that takes some of the magic out of it too. Here's another line. This one was from, I'm pretty sure this was from the mental illness part, our mental health, but it said, mental illness sucks, but it made me great at writing. It was the last line on that page. I was like, oh shit. So funny how that is, because we talk about that all the time, you know, like some of the greatest artists, you know, they've got some pain in their heart, man. They're dealing with issues and challenges, and that's a big part of what makes life, you know. In society nowadays, everybody wants to be comfortable and happy and have everything go just the way it's supposed to go. But without that dark side, man, without that bad shit happening, it's not really life all the way. You can't have the day without the night, etc. And I also like that one because you threw in a little Buddha and Allah, but no Poseidon you put in there. That one cracked me up. You're like, I'm gonna draw the line somewhere.
It's funny because I don't even know any of these poems by heart at all. Like they're just there for other people to take and see what they feel like it means for the most part. But I could break every poem down if I read it first.
Yeah, no doubt. Another one was 28. I'm just going through these a lot because I like that one a lot because that was the one that starts with like, a black man died today, a black mom cried today, white people die too, you know. And it was like, and then it kind of goes from there. And then it sounds like it was referencing like a time. I think it was it must have been a real experience, I'm assuming, where you got pulled over. There was like 10 cops in Boulder.
Oh, yeah, that story is crazy. So me and my brother Saran, we borrowed one of his uncle's cars because his car was a little Honda that like the muffler was hanging out of, so we couldn't make the whole trip to Boulder with it. And we get there, we're having a good time. We didn't drink, we didn't smoke, we didn't do anything. We didn't do any drug or whatever. On the way back, we get pulled over. And it's like, okay, well, we're in Boulder, I guess. But he's like, oh, it's all good. Let's look for the license. Because we couldn't find the registration because it wasn't our car, so we didn't know exactly where it was. So we couldn't find the insurance and registration. And he's like, oh, go ahead and look for it. So we're looking for it. And then like more cop cars are coming. And he puts at us, I don't know if I was at gunpoint, but he takes us out the car and he's like, you're not going to hurt me. And I'm like, how the hell am I going to hurt you? There's like 20 cops here. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Because we were wearing matching shirts. So I guess he thought we were gang members or something, but we were just brothers trying to get the ladies. So like, it shook me, like. And then on the way back, and when we got to Aurora, we got pulled over again. And by this time we're just exhausted, and we're like, dude, we just got pulled over. Like, I don't want to go through this again. He's like, y'all can go.
Shit, man. That's a topic that's come up on the show quite a few times before. That's the kind of shit I'm talking about, dude. Like, that's so crazy to me. You guys weren't doing anything wrong. That 10 cop cars. And then I'll be honest with you, from the stories that I've heard from my friends who don't have the skin the same color as me, that shit would terrify me if the officer said, you're not going to hurt me. Because that sounds like some setup shit. That sounds like we're setting this up so that we're going to make this look like, you're fucking with me, and that I'm going to be able to get away with whatever I need to do. So I'm glad it ended up okay and then you ended up safe. I imagine it was pretty emotionally jarring, but I'm glad that you ended up walking away from that, because I think a lot of times in that situation, like you point out in a lot of these poems, people don't get to walk away, and their families never see them again over some bullshit like this. But that's something that's happening every day in America, man. And it's crazy. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, as a white dude, like, I've had a real evolution in my understanding of this stuff, because you've been around since the earliest podcast, Dom. And I remember in the early podcast talking about it, and I look back and I cringe when I listen to myself, because I'm like, I had no clue. I had no idea what it was like, and how would I walk around like this? And so you don't really understand. And you're just kind of like, man, is it really like that? And you're like, oh, it is. Oh, shit. Oh, it is. Oh, God. And you start hearing stories. And then as social media has progressed, all this stuff's showing up now all the time. So we're actually seeing it on video. And it's not like this stuff is new. It's not new. It's just that it's easier for people to see than ever now.
Yeah, that happened in like 2010.
Like, that was in 2010. Damn, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Or 11 years ago, I guess.
Yeah. So.
Boulder's kind of funny like that, huh? Right? It's got the, it's the reputation as like the super liberal, and like we're really open-minded, but
I'm not gonna crap on them, but yeah, that's the experience I had there. So I don't really go to Boulder too much.
What's funny is
Colorado.
It's the same. I hear a lot of stories, but I don't have much experience in Boulder either. But it's kind of funny for totally different reasons. I've always been like turned off by Boulder too. Back in the day when I was playing music all the time, and I would just go to like random places. And I remember we had like a crazy snowstorm one time, but I was determined to go show up at this open mic in Boulder. And just because I hadn't played there at all, and I had a lot of people tell me, oh, they'll like your music out there, it'll really fit in. I was doing a lot of reggae music and stuff like that. And so I forced myself to take that trip. And I mean, the snow was bad, bro. Like, it was bad getting there. And I can't remember, I think it was in a little Honda Accord at the time. And I got all the way there. I get to it and I show up at the open mic, and it's like a lot of poets. It's a lot of poetry reading. There was only like one other musician there. And I can't remember what he was playing. It was like I don't even know what kind of instrument it was. It was really trippy. But anyway, so I get up there, and it's finally my turn. I get up there, and there's nothing to plug the guitar in, and there's no microphone for the guitar. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. So there's just a microphone. So there's like one microphone. So I'm like strumming my guitar as hard as I can. So it's already kind of like, as a performer, when shit's not going right, it's hard to stay in the pocket. So I did. And I think I played that old song I used to do, Compassion. And then I played, so I played Compassion, and I finished, dude. And like, everybody just looked at me like they didn't know what happened. They were just looking at me like one guy was like,
oh, wow.
And I was like, wow, I had never had that happen before. I was like, okay, here, I got one for you. And so I dropped American Dream, and I played that one. And then as soon as I finished, like, hardly anybody, there was like one or two people clapped. And then the dude, I was going to play a third one because the other musician had done like 4 or 5 songs. So I went to play a third one, and he literally comes up and takes me and goes, that's okay, bro. It's good. And like, you guys have heard me play, you know, and I'm not terrible, you know. So it was like, I didn't know what the fuck happened. And
bring out the poetry. Bring out the poetry.
Yeah. And I remember, and plus I had ordered, I was like looking at the menu. I didn't know what anything was. And I was like, I'll have a chai tea latte. And he was like, shit was like $8.50. And this was like in 2009 or something. I was like, what the hell? I walked out of there like, fuck Boulder. I never.
By the way, Dollar, I think you're about to be murdered. I saw your door open behind you. So,
okay.
Just so you know.
So automatically I'm going to be murdered. I think it was Jaden. My son's been in and out of here a little bit. I think he's listening online right now. I'm not sure. He wanted to come on the podcast tonight because he thought his Uncle Mark was going to be on here. And I told you, I was talking about that last week. Those two are cut from the cloth, bro.
You know, you should have done, Dollar. You should have played Freebird. That would have got everybody.
Yeah. Wagon wheel.
Yeah, who knows, man? I don't know. Maybe I was horrible. Maybe I was just having an off night and didn't realize it. I don't know. But I never really did go back and try to build a following in Boulder. I was like, because everyone told me, because I used to live in Humboldt in California, and everybody told me that Boulder was like the Humboldt equivalent in Colorado. And nah, man, it was.
You know what it was? Your dreads weren't long enough, bro.
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of dreadlocks in that place. Not a lot of melanin though, bro.
Not a lot of melanin.
Oh man. So what you been up to, Pierce? How have you been, man? I haven't talked to you much. Have you been super busy with work and stuff?
Yeah, just keeping busy at work and home and all that stuff. Oh my God. Today, I don't know if it was like windy as fuck at your house, but it was windy as fuck as all hell at my house. Dude, it blew off the flagpole, like snapped the flagpole off of the house. And like the deer came home and she's like, where'd our flag go? And I was like, what are you talking about? And she goes, the flag's like gone. And I like went out there and it was like gone, like nowhere. I was like, what the hell? And I like looked at the little mount on there and it's like snapped, the metal's like snapped off. I was like, oh my God, dude. And I was like looking around and it was like blown off to the side of the house. But yeah, dude.
Oh, that's wild, dude. It got a little windy out here. I wasn't really out here until the late afternoon because I leave pretty early in the morning. So it was definitely windy at the school today, though, out in Lakewood, because I had like a window open.
Yeah.
And at one point I had to go shut it. Like it was just like crazy blowing air like inside the classroom.
It's been weather everywhere, you know, has been different. And it's all that fucking groundhog's fault, dude. That motherfucker said 6 more weeks. If we would have gone in, Dom, you guys would have been fine down there. Jesus. No, I made that one post on there on Facebook. I don't know if you saw that, Dollar. And I was saying that Texas wasn't taking the Rona seriously, so God froze it over.
Oh shit.
That's a Gilbert Gottfried joke right there.
And so there's a couple of people on there that was like, that's not funny, people are dying. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, chill out, it's jokes, people, it's jokes.
Yeah, you know,
there was this one video I saw online, and I felt bad for this girl. She's in Texas, and she goes, you guys, this is a parking garage and there's 7 floors. She goes, look at all this space. And she's showing this empty ass garage, right? And she turns around. She goes, the one pipe in her car, you guys, is just the pipe broke above her car. And her car is just covered in water and ice. Like it's like trapped under ice, dude.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
And she's like crying. She goes, the one pipe. She goes, look at all these spaces that are empty. She's like, nothing. And it looks at her car, dude, and it's just fucking frozen, dude. Like,
damn, that's some shitty luck right there. That's
right.
Pinned her car to the ground with ice. Yeah, it's been nuts, man, in Texas. I was looking at the thing, like, so blackout. So that's all over now, right? Nobody's having blackouts or electricity off, or is that still going on?
Yeah, there's some people without electricity still, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
And water. Electricity and water down there.
Yeah, I saw the water shortage thing too. That's a big problem down there.
Yeah, dude, it's wild. Like, geez, that's what I was saying too. Is like we're so reactive and not proactive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it always is. We never have anything like going on, as far as like, oh, just in case this does happen, like, a pandemic or something, it'd be nice to have a pandemic team.
It'd be nice if we could all just travel to Cancun, like Ted Cruz.
He's getting a lot of shit for that. But no, I mean, it's like, just to prepare for everything, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, yeah, in areas like Texas, it does get snow sometimes, but they think they should still treat it just as if it would get like a blizzard one day. Because you don't know. But somewhere like Phoenix, Arizona, there's not going to be a fucking blizzard in fucking Phoenix, Arizona. So you guys are okay because, they were talking about like how things aren't winterized or properly like, insulated and some of the stuff, which is why a lot of things are freezing over and pipes are bursting and this and that. But again, if it does it, my thought is if it does it a little bit, then maybe you should just cover it just in case, like for everything.
Yeah, no doubt. We live in crazy times, man, with like climate change happening and like all the crazy weather you're seeing everywhere. But like you mentioned specifically the pandemic thing, and that's ironic to me because Obama put all that in place. He put a team together and everything, and then that was the first thing Trump did. He's just like, "Nah, you're out of here." He got rid of it. Like, oops, that was a bad.
Well, like I was saying, we're just reactive, man. I mean, because even if you go way back to Katrina, everyone knew, those engineers and everything knew about the levees. Saying that they weren't effective or anything like that. And then fucking Katrina came by and what happened? Like, fucking whole New Orleans is underwater, everywhere, dude. So.
Yeah, wow. That's the saddest shit about all this stuff, dude, is it's always when you look, it's again, if you're looking at the populations that are being most affected by all this stuff, and this doesn't just apply just to the United States, it's like worldwide. Like, I don't know if have you ever heard of the island of like Kiribati? It's like in the Pacific Ocean. But it's one of the front lines for climate change. Like the water levels are rising and people are having to move their houses. Some houses have already been ruined. And so people are starting to just flee, and it's an island country. But you look at like the level of poverty there and the shit that's already happening, and they're paying the price. And then you look at like what their carbon footprint looks like. You're like, nobody's driving cars. They're not throwing away massive amounts of trash. Like they're not contributing to the problem at all, but they're getting the brunt of it right now. They're the first groups to get hit. And same thing, you look at Katrina, man, look at the people that were affected by that. Like,
yep.
It's hard to ignore the fact that it's always, I don't know, it's always the same disenfranchised groups in the world that are just taking the brunt of all this bullshit. So,
yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
Another happy podcast, Pierce.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Like, I don't know if you ever seen that, that movie called Cutthroat City. It came out last year. Have you guys heard about that?
Mm-mm.
And it was talking about like I think it's a Spike Lee movie. Let me check this out. Is it Spike Lee movie? But yeah, it's oh no, it's RZA. RZA directed it, and but it's a good movie, and it's talking about that too. About down in New Orleans, down in Louisiana, where Katrina has hit, and the areas that were already impoverished are like even worse off, and that people can't even get out of it, if they're trying to move out of it or do this and that and try to make their lives better, they're just, everyone's trapped down there, essentially, is what they're saying. So if you haven't seen it, go see that. If you haven't seen it, it's a good movie to look up.
You said it's called?
Check it out.
Cutthroat City. Yeah.
Cutthroat City.
Yeah, but it has T.I. in it. Ethan Hawke. Who else? Terrence Howard's in there. Mine.
What up, mine? What we gonna do about this weather, mine?
What's this weather, mine? What's Terrence Howard's favorite part of a lion? The mine. What's Terrence Howard's favorite street?
Mine Street.
Sorry.
But yeah, it's just, again, like you were saying, Dollar, just the areas that are already, basically fucked up or desolate or anything like that just get hit harder, man. And it's just the infrastructure is, not it. I don't know. I feel always, again, this is just me talking, I'm not a city engineer or a planner or a manager, but like you would think that there was like things in place to check shit out like every few years.
Right.
Like, hey, it's, according to the data that we have, precipitation has been a little bit more this time. Maybe we should look at doing this, or maybe we should look at doing that. But again, it's all like I guess when it all comes down to the money, right? And if it's if they can afford to do it, or if it's not cost effective or whatever.
Yeah, I think there's a combination of things happening, right? Like for one, we live in like this crazy consumer society where everything's just immediate gratification, and we just want to have our social media and sort of forget about the reality around us. But little by little, man, we're seeing shit get crazier and crazier. But that's what the saddest part is it is hitting the people who need, already in dire situations are getting hit very hard. And so it's people that are not in those situations. It's really easy to look the other way, man. It's like, oh, we're all right. But the truth is this shit's coming for everybody. There's no escaping this stuff. Like if we don't start fixing shit, because like I said, I'm teaching a unit on this right now and the science is pretty deep. And it's like, it's crazy to me. That's one of the things we're talking about in the class. I like to get the kids talking about it is skepticism. Like, you still hear people going like, climate change, that shit's not real. The climate's always changing, but there's hard scientific evidence that has shown like what exactly has happened with the global temperature since the Industrial Revolution. Yep. And though the planet has been hotter, obviously the planet is created by spinning off of the sun, right? Yep. So at one point, obviously it was fucking unimaginably hotter. And so I hear that argument all the time, like, the temperature goes up and down. This is not the hottest the planet's ever been. Like, no, once it was molten fucking, you know what I mean? It was all on fire basically at one point. So obviously it wasn't. But the truth is that it's never gone up at a faster rate in all of the entire history of the globe. Like we've never had a time where the temperature on the earth was accelerating as fast as it is right now. And it's a big concern because we take it for granted, man. We take this earth for granted. We think it's all going to be here forever. It's all permanent. It ain't, bro. And if you look at the structure of our planet, it's a globe, right? It's a ball. And on that ball is this teeny tiny little 2-mile strip of atmosphere. Now that atmosphere, in addition to water and all the other stuff, that's the only reason we can survive here. Right? Because without that atmosphere, not only are you going to just be getting hit with all the cosmic rays and all that shit that just kills people and kills life, but at the same time, the planet wouldn't be able to have a stable temperature because it's like an insulation. The sun's rays go in, they warm up the inside of the planet just enough. And it's a very, very delicate balance there. So as soon as you start kicking more and more greenhouses into the atmosphere, that atmosphere gets just packed with stuff and it starts overly insulating. And so then the place just starts getting hotter and harder. And now we're saying, I was reading an article the other day, this crazy, they were worried about this giant iceberg because it was headed toward an island where there was I guess this endangered species of penguins and stuff. And so they were worried that it was going to hit the island. But then on the way there, the ship broke and melted and just fell apart into a whole bunch of pieces. And I think it was the largest iceberg on Earth. And it completely just broke into a shit ton of pieces. And we think, oh, that's no big deal. It's a fucking big deal, because that's not only do you have the atmosphere, but you've got all the amount of snow cap on the planet, all the stuff that's, ice and snow, that shit reflects the sun. So when that stuff starts melting, all that heat's going directly into the ocean. It's melting shit more. It's all accelerating. And then you got places like Kiribati in the Pacific Ocean where those levels are starting to have a real effect. Houses are disappearing. It's creeping in on their island. And there's going to be a time when scientists say that island is just not going to exist. That's a country, bro. That country just
gone.
Yeah. Wild, man. We take shit for granted. We just keep staring at our phones and pretending like nothing's happening. But if we don't do something, we're gonna find ourselves in a bad situation. And what's scary about it is that right now it's just starting. So we're seeing it's a lot of the poor communities of the world are the ones that are suffering the most. But as it gets worse and worse, it's going to catch more and more of our asses. But eventually, how it works. It's going to be very few elite people on the top that have access to resources we can't ever imagine. They're going to be the ones that are going to be able to protect themselves and get through it. Meanwhile, who knows what global chaos is going to take place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it.
I'm such a downer, bro. And this is what I'm teaching to middle school kids, right?
Yeah.
No, so no, but when I look at this stuff, I don't do it like this. This is a podcast, so I just talk and talk. But like in class, I just bring these things up and I try to get them to come to their own conclusions. You know, like, what do you guys think? You know, like, what are your opinions on this stuff? But again, that comes down to, I always tell Pierce, like, I'm glad I teach where I teach. Because I imagine if I taught in some like super rich ass district or something like that, I'd be getting so much backlash for even teaching climate change in the classroom. But I just don't, I'm in a totally different environment, man. So I'm thankful for that. Yeah. I don't think I was teaching the last time we talked, huh, Dom?
When did you start teaching?
This is my second year teaching. So shit got wild right after I started, because I was in my first year teaching last year when COVID hit, and then they shut down the schools at like end of March, beginning of April. And so then we had to like scramble and figure out how to teach online. And then this year's been online until like the third week in January, we went back. But we're only back in like half capacity. So like half our students are still going all virtual every day. And half of them, and this is based on what their family selected. And then half of them are coming in person. And then, like I was telling Pierce, we split them into two groups even further. So on any given day, I'm seeing like a quarter of our student population in person. But it's real tricky because I'm teaching kids that are sitting in front of me mixed with kids that are in a Zoom meeting and like trying to get them all on the same page. And so it's been.
Shout out to the teachers, man, because y'all are dealing with unprecedented times.
Oh man, I appreciate that sentiment. There's a lot of heat coming our way for sure. There are a lot of pissed off people in the world about saying teachers, you know, aren't handling this right, and they don't. I'm like, hey, motherfucker, come do this job. Come over here. Come join us. We need you. Come over here.
Yeah.
Get your boots on the ground and see what it's really like every day, because it's not easy. We actually had a pipe break at our school last week too. So like a whole section of the bottom floor got flooded. So teachers are kind of like dealing with that too on top of it. It's been wild. We're actually trying, like you were saying about the restaurants, Pierce, about how sometimes like they get approval for like their processes and stuff, like they can get special approval to like operate at a lower level than it is. It's sort of similar with schools, like because our protocols are in place so strongly, and because we have such a small number of students there, we're actually trying to work on getting our students to be able to come in 4 days a week instead of 2. Okay. So that we could have more of them in person. Because, you know, at the school I teach at, man, it's so important is that like I still have students that they have 2 days in person and the other three days they're supposed to go online. And those 3 days online, dude, I just don't see them. Like they just don't come to class. They don't do nothing. And when they have to come in person, then they show up, you know, and what people have to understand from the outside is it's easy to, you know, blame it on the kids or the families. Like they need to get their ass to school, or, you know, it's whatever, they got to do school. But the kind of shit that our students are dealing with at home and like the problems that they've got going on, it's not easy, dude. And then like, because I know like my youngest daughter, Jessie, she's in elementary school and she's on virtual every single day, and they require students to have their cameras on. Same with my son at his high school, and same with Jillian at the middle school that she's at. All three, they have to have their cameras on full time. But we can't do that at our school, man. You can't make kids turn on the camera to their home and open up their home to their whole class and to their teacher and all that shit. So it's been hard, man. It's hard.
I was just about to be like, that's my privacy. You can't get, that's my house, my privacy.
Yeah.
My privacy.
Yeah, but it's true, man. You can't, it's not something that you can ask of all students, you know, because you don't know what's going on at home and you don't know how they feel about it. So I take a different approach. I've noticed one thing I have learned from teaching is that like, the harder you come down on kids and the harder you're like strict about, you know, like, listen, bro, you need to turn on your camera. You need to be here. It's never going to happen. They're going to go, fuck you, bro. I'm not doing what you asked me to do. Right. Seriously. That's really literally what's going to happen. And so I've found that like my job as a teacher is not to force kids to like comply with stuff. That my job is really to like make it worth their while, dude. Give them something they can connect to. Give them something they actually go, hey, that's kind of interesting. Because if you don't, and it's weird to me how prevalent old school teaching still is, you know, like especially you and me, Pierce. I mean, we grew up in a time that's all teaching was. Like you did what the fuck you were supposed to do, or your ass out. You know, you're gonna be in trouble. And it's funny how prevalent some of that mentality still is. But you gotta give kids a reason to be interested in school. And at times like this, you know, where they already, you know, again, that's what we're talking about, right? Like if you look at the whole COVID situation, you know, equity is a problem, dude. It's a problem. Some schools, they're fine. They got all the resources they need. Everybody's just floating along. Oh yeah, we just go online. It's no problem. We're still continuing with our education. Like, meanwhile, at schools like mine, man, we're trying desperately to not let these kids fall further behind in school, because again, it's almost like climate change. It's easy to look the other way. It's easy to be like, oh, this ain't a big deal. But this is going to come back, dude. This is the reason I got into teaching, is to help these students have a future, because we know how it is when you grow up in a community that's, where you're surrounded by poverty and you don't necessarily see a way out. The last thing you need is a situation where you're not going to school and you're falling further behind on all those skills that are going to help you in your future.
You know what you should do is you just have Mo like walk back and forth behind your kids, like shirtless or something every now and then. They're going to be like, oh, you know what? Just go. Yeah, go ahead and turn the camera off. That's fine. You can turn the camera off. Just have Mo like look over their shoulder a couple times, like, what are you doing? Like,
who's that, Mr. Dollar?
No, I'm saying for that, for Jaden, Jillian, Jesse, for their schools that require it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, because I was asking my daughter today, like in Zoom, you could do breakout rooms, right? So you could like take people and put them in separate groups. Because when we were in person, this shit was so easy. I used to complain. You remember how hard I told you it was to manage a classroom when I started? I was like, oh my God, like, I don't even know. Like, these kids don't want to listen to me. I don't know how to get them to do what I need them to do. And I was struggling with it. But looking back, it's so much easier, because now we have like all these opposite problems. Like last year, when I started teaching, it was like trying to manage the classroom. It was like trying to keep chaos from taking over your classroom. And this year it's the opposite, dude, because so many of these kids are online. They don't want to talk. They just get quiet. They turn off their cameras. They mute it. And they're technically there. You mark them present, but they're just not really there. They're kind of ghosting you. And so one thing that last year, because I teach ELD, English Language Development. And so my whole focus is like, we work on speaking, writing, listening, and reading. And a big part of speaking is not, they got to talk, right? And so they got to talk to each other. I spend a lot of time getting them to talk to each other. So last year, you put them in a small group, you give them a task, and then I circulate in the classroom, and just kind of check in with groups. How you doing? What do you need help with? And you keep them on track that way. But this year, you put them in a breakout room, dude. Nothing happens, dude. And the other thing is I can't circulate. Like, I can go into one breakout room at a time and check, and then go to the other one. So I asked my daughter today, because she's in middle school, and I said, hey, do you guys do breakout rooms? And she said, oh yeah. And I said, do they actually work, or does everybody just sit there all quiet? She goes, oh, they work. And I said, really? What do they do? What's different? And she goes, because they tell you if you don't have your camera on and you don't do the assignment and you don't have your mic off, you're going to get an F, and they kick you out of the meeting. I was like, oh shit. I was like, bro, that's crazy. If I kicked kids out of the meeting, I would just be sitting there by myself in a Zoom, like, well, guess they're not in class today. Just kicking people out left and right.
Oh my gosh. Made it sound like it was Sparta. This is Sparta, and like kick them out of the rooms and shit. Like, you don't want your mic on? Okay, then.
Yeah, they don't play. How's Callie doing? How's school for her? She's been going in person, right?
Yeah, she goes in person. Yeah, so yeah, her school's fine. There hasn't been any issues or any outbreaks or anything like that. So yeah, business as usual.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting, and that's good to hear, because I think for the young kids it's the hardest. Trying to have them in a situation like that. How were you with school, Dom, when you were younger and stuff? Did you like school? Did you hate school? How was it for you?
I was the class clown. Like, I was trying to distract the teacher as much as humanly possible. I was a terrible student. I got like a 2.6 GPA though, so a little bit above C's.
Yeah, those are the students I secretly love, though, man. I look at kids like that. Like, I like the ones, it's, the ones that show up to class every day and they just want to work hard and they're doing every little thing and stuff. It's kind of like, okay, cool. I'm glad you're there. But for me, it's always the challenge. It's the one that comes in. I always talk about that one student last year, Pierce. Like, the first day he came into class, he came running into my class and he did a box jump onto the cooler. He like jumps up on the cooler and then he grabs the window, and it's an old ass building in the school I work with. And so they got those like slide up old school windows, no screens. And we're on the second floor. He jumps up on that thing and just pulls the window up, and he's standing there in this tall ass window that's like open as wide as him. He could have easily just like fallen out and shit. I was like shaking, having a heart attack. Oh my God. Please step down from that.
Well, it's funny because like when, it was Tony's first year last year. And so he was like telling me, like, he'd tell me every day, like, I'm doing this. And he's like, bro, I made a whole lesson plan. And he goes, and I was done with it in like a week. I was like, he was like, oh shit. He goes, and I got to do it for like 10 more weeks.
Yeah, you're a teacher, bro.
Yeah, no, and I always heard people talk about that. And I wanted to be a teacher for a long time. And so I went back to do it. But I always heard people talk about, I didn't understand, dude, until I started teaching. I was like, I would sit down and like to write 51 minutes of a lesson for students to actually have it be coherent and like have an end goal and have the, a plan for the whole thing. It was literally like for a week of writing lessons, like 5 lessons would take, I was calculating the hours, dude. It was like between 16 and 20 hours for me to sit down and like write down 5 51-minute lessons. And so it was, bro, it was such a struggle last year. I was drowning, and I've been in school the whole time. I'm finishing up my master's. I'll be done in the summertime, but I did this Aspire. Yeah. Thanks, brother. But yeah, so I did the Aspire program and I did a bachelor's and everything. So like, I've been in school the whole time, which was hard. But it's gotten better, Pierce. I will tell you, after you do enough, it's like, what it reminds me of, Dom? I always talk about writing songs. Like from the time I started writing lessons, to me, it was so akin to writing songs. And it would be like, I was telling Pierce, it was the equivalent of like, you sat somebody down, they never played an instrument, they never did a lick of music in their life. And you're like, okay, I need you to write 5 songs and you got to have them ready to go by Monday. Right. And they got to be good. And so, and you're like, but wait, I don't know how to write music. And you're like, sorry, bro, figure it out. You have 5 songs, and then you get them, and then you take it to the class, and the lesson just falls like to shit. I had that happen plenty of times where I think I got this fire lesson, I bring it, and the kids just look at me like they don't give a shit what I'm talking about. And if they don't connect to what you're doing, good luck, man. It's like the worst experience in the world. I would rather bomb on stage with like a shitty song any day than bombing in front of a bunch of students that don't even care about what you're trying to teach them. But I figured out I've gotten a lot better. Once you crank out enough of them, it just starts becoming a system. That was a situation I was in. That's why I fell asleep after work today, because last night I had a 3-hour class for my master's. And then I realized afterward, I was like, shit, I never got my lesson fully written for tomorrow. So I had to sit there and write a lesson after I got out of my class, like late last night, like 8:30 or whatever. And I could do it now, but it's still a pain in the ass. And I came home from work today, and I was like, I laid down on the bed for a minute. After I finished reading your book, I laid down on the bed, and then I was just like, I was out, bro. And I woke up. You ever those afternoon naps make you grouchy as shit? I woke up. My son was messing around. Jaden was messing around upstairs, and he's like singing some crazy song in falsetto. He's like singing, trying to annoy his sisters. Oh my god, I almost lost my mind.
So I mean, like, you were talking like writing and how it takes forever. I remember that story where you and Dom had a brainstorming session. You just like wrote some music out and you like smashed out a whole bunch of songs.
Yeah,
I need an afternoon.
I need to find the equivalent of Dom for writing lessons, bro.
Yeah, how many songs did we write? Like 5?
Yeah, something like that. And we never did nothing. Yeah, we never did anything with them too. I still have all those. We should do something with those sometime.
Oh, I'm down.
I'm looking to do some music this summer. It's going to be a low-key summer because I've been in 2 classes at a time. So when summer comes, I'll be in my last class. It's just 1 class. Plus, I don't teach during the summer, so I'll be off for a few months. So I'm definitely looking at doing some music.
Also, like if you just want to use them, they're yours. I don't mind.
Oh man, I appreciate that, bro. No, I'd want to bring you in for sure. I'd have to bring you in on it if I did something with them.
I'll play the box.
Yeah, and I know you were going to learn. Was it guitar? You were looking at maybe learning an instrument at one point.
I gave my guitar to my niece. So I was like, I'm playing 2 notes on this thing. It's a wrap.
Yeah,
I learned like 1 chord pretty decently, but the way I like strum the guitar is all unorthodox. So I'm like, you know what, this isn't for me. But I'm gonna get a piano. I could actually kind of play a piano or a keyboard.
Nice.
I've always felt like a piano is a better tool for writing music for sure, because it's kind of visually laid out.
It's weird though, because like it's easier to actually sing with a guitar, even if you're not playing anything really, than it is with piano, because you got to make sure you're hitting the right notes with the piano. Like for me, I would just hit like 2 notes on a guitar, and I could make something out of it. But you can't really do that with a piano.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. I never thought about that. I just like piano because you can visually see it, like the low end of the notes all the way to the high. Mm-hmm. Whereas on a guitar, it's not intuitive. Like you kind of have to like know where to put your fingers to make the chords and stuff like that.
Yeah, lately when I write songs, I just listen to type beats and write over them. Like that's my new my new creative jam.
Yeah. You know what I've been getting into secretly is free flowing, bro. Like I've got like all these different beats that I listen to, like everything from just like random lo-fi, what's it called? Lo-fi hip hop or whatever.
Yeah.
And so like I listened to it from school, and then we had this competition where as teachers had to make a video recently. And so I made a rap video writing like why I liked Lake Middle School. And so I put out the video, but now it's hilarious because every time I run into students, they're always like, Mr. Dollar, free flow, go. And they like just want me to just come up with something off the top of my head. So because of that, I started just practicing all the time. So now when I drive to and from work, I just come up with stuff like the whole way. I put on, the other thing I like putting on is the Chronic 2001, the beats only, right? With no lyrics.
Yeah.
Oh, those beats
are hard.
Yes, they are. And they're so fun to pretend like you're a rap star.
Yeah.
Shit.
Now for me, like every song I would write was like just me going off the top of my head and singing it and recording it and like picking what was good to me at the time. Like I don't think I've ever just like, other than raps, like if I'm writing a rap, it's just written, and then like I gotta have Avery help me figure out what the flow is because I'm not that good with that.
Dude, I love that. That's such a really good method for writing music. The fact that you actually like come up with stuff, record it, and then go back and like just glean out of it what's good. I think that's a great approach to writing songs. And I didn't do that for years. For years, I would like write a song from start to finish and then be like, okay, it's okay. Move on to the next song. But over years, I started writing the same way too, where you kind of come up with pieces. Yeah, that's the way to do it. The longer, in my experience, the longer I can sit on a song, the better it ends up being. Like if I'm trying to just like, there are definitely those songs where you just sit down and dude, like I did with you, where it just comes out really fast. But for me as a writer by myself, like if I'm just writing, I find that I do that method. Like I'll come up with stuff, I'll come up with some lyrics and I'm like, I can tell this verse is way better than the second verse, or the hook is crazy strong, but the verses ain't so good. And back in the day, I would just like box it up, call it finished, and move on to the next song. Whereas now I'll sit on it for like sometimes years, where I'll just keep coming back to it and like, nah, shit's still not cooked all the way. And then I'll come back and revisit it. And then I find that the best songs come that way.
For me, like, because I got like hundreds of songs in my phone, and it's like, I'll go back to the ones that I wrote like from the beginning of me having a phone. And it's like, oh, this part is cool, but that part, like, it's the same thing you were saying. Like, this part is cool, but obviously I'm not going to use that second verse because it's not good enough. And that's how I formed some of these poems. Like I would take like the piece I like the most and write from there. Because I feel like right now, like I'm a way better writer than I was maybe even 2 years ago. Like I've gotten to a point where I feel like I know how to communicate the vibe that I want to communicate. Which is weird because talking, like you normally talking, I'm like very quiet person, but like I'm not an extroverted person. But like I feel like when I'm making music or I'm writing poetry, I feel like that's when it's my time to say my piece. Dude,
I love that. I like that you touched on like the vibe or the feel, because I think that's a lot of young and new songwriters. That's the mistake that you make, right? You're putting all the parts together, right? You got the chord progression, you got some lyrics that rhyme, you're putting it all together. But in the end, if it doesn't hit, it doesn't hit. And I think that capturing a vibe sometimes is the hardest thing for people to do when they're creating any kind of art, right? Like you can make something that looks technically really cool, like if say you're doing sculpting or something like that, but to really hit on something where it's got an emotion to it. That's the other thing as an artist I've found over the years is like, it's easy to come up with like songs and stuff that evoke random emotions, where you kind of put stuff together and then you hear it and you go, oh, that's kind of cool, but that's not what I was intending to do. But like the real master artists are the ones that like have an idea in mind of how they want the song to feel, what they want people to take from it. And then they're able to actually execute that and like create something that matches the vision they originally had. And I think a lot of artists are missing that part. They get in there, they become a really proficient at an instrument. They get good at recognizing good and strong chord progressions. They have either a lyricist work with them or they got lyrics that work, but being able to actually have like, this is the feel I want for this, and then not stopping until it actually matches what you had in mind. To me, that's talent, bro.
Yeah, I think what me and Avery were doing, that's like, cause Stonewall, like the two bands were totally different bands. You know what I mean? Stonewall was pop, punk rock and hip hop and almost metal sometimes, and ABJ and the BA was the blues at the time. So
yeah, I remember that.
but you have to find the power. Like we call it power music. You got to find the power in what you're saying and what you're playing, and emote that to other people so they feel the power. Cause like it's one of those things where like even who's a singer that it doesn't have like a very loud voice, like a Sade, right? You know that's what she is saying she means.
Hmm.
And that's like half the battle, half the time.
Yeah, totally.
She has a smooth voice, but what she's saying, you know, she means what she's saying.
Yeah.
So you're always pretty quick on, you know, writing. You it comes pretty naturally to you. You recently just had this one published this month. Do you have any plans on a follow-up or a different project as far as poetry goes, as far as a book or anything?
Actually, I just picked up a kazoo, so I'm gonna learn that. No, I'm gonna become a professional kazoo player. No, I've already got the second book written. I just gotta form it, and I'll probably put it out in the summer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, keep us posted, dude. I'd love to have you. I'd love to have you back a couple times too. I definitely want to have Avery on.
You gotta have Avery on. He's a ham. He's gonna give you what you need.
Yeah, 100%, man. And there's not a lot. Like I'm always big on supporting local music and local artists. Not that he's local anymore, I guess, out here, but I've always been a fan of just supporting other artists. But he's one of those dude that like I would just buy his shit no matter what. Like it doesn't even matter if I knew that guy, especially like is it the End Times? Is that the one that's a little bit older that came out? It's not
the
real.
One with the video.
I don't even know if I've seen the video. I didn't know if there was video, but it's like it just got an old school rap feel to it, man. And that's what I just loved about it. Like he's got an old soul, I feel like sometimes.
Oh yeah. He does. We all do, like the whole crew does. We're all like old men, but we're young. It's weird.
How did y'all find each other? Like, how did you end up in the crew you're in? Because there is so much talent in that group of people, man.
So I met Avery when I was at Montview Elementary. Our parents knew each other, but I knew him. And then we went to middle school together. I think we did anyway. But at least, okay, so like Avery's been rapping since he was like, I want to say 11, 12, 13, 10, something like that. So he would do the talent shows, and I used to host the talent shows because I was the class clown. So like I would go up there and be reckless. Like my mom she worked at North Middle School. I remember she used to be like, she would make a little box with her hands to put me back in the box because I would just go out of nowhere and just be like all wilding out and stuff. I'm like, I would just look at her and be like, okay, and still just go crazy. So like, but no, we've always had a friendship. He always jokes about how like in high school I was a cool guy and he was just trying to find his way and like I wouldn't even hang out with him. But it's because he's like 2 years younger than me at the time. So, but he's always been my brother. Antoine, it's weird because I'm best friends with his cousins, and I grew up with his cousins. They live like a block away from me. My friends Devin, Chris, and Soso, and I didn't know Antoine. Not even through high school. I didn't know him until my senior year because I did theater, and he went to Casper College and he came back, and we just became best friends like right off the bat. So that's been the crew. Mark's been in the crew. So like, we just met. Some of it was chance and some of it was destined, but it's all fate.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, Antoine's another one we got to have on again, Pierce.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you got to have Twine on here.
Yeah, they're doing their thing big time right now too. He's got that voice, man. I'll definitely. Let's go, man. Yo, what's up? Like, yeah. Damn, it's like Darth Vader over there. Well, that's cool, man. It's been fun. I'm glad to have you back on here. I want to touch base with you a little more often. Keep us posted on when that other book's coming out. Let me know once things start popping again, as far as like getting out there and being able to do live stuff and open mics like you were talking about. Anything you produce, man, I'm a fan. I've been a fan of yours. I feel like we're brothers. You know, I've known you for a long ass time. You're part of the family.
Oh yeah.
So
you are part of mine too.
Hell yeah, man. Thanks for coming on,
Mike. I'm sorry for thinking you were short.
Yeah, you got to fill me in on that real quick. I saw.
Dude, I remember one day I came up to Mike and I'm like, you're about like 5'11", 5'10", right? He's like, dude, I'm 6'3". I'm like, oh.
Yeah, that was so wild. I didn't even know what that was in reference to. I saw the comment. I think it was on Facebook or something. I saw you guys talking about that, and I was like, Mike is.
I just thought Mike was a shorter guy. I mean, he's like the same height as me.
I know, and that's what it was. And then then you were like, stand up, and we stood up, and you're like, oh yeah. Look at me in the eyes.
Like, you're buff, so I'm all thinking like he's this short, stocky guy. Like, no, he's tall as shit.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Yeah, and Mark says he's 5. He always says like 5'10", 5'11", but I swear to
about
God,
6 foot.
Yeah,
I think he's 6 foot.
Yep, I agree because I'm 6'1". He's almost eye to eye with me. So, yeah, but it's cool, man. It's been real. I'm really glad to talk to you again. It was an absolute pleasure reading your book. I definitely want to tell everybody, go out there and get that Melon and Muse. You can get it on Amazon. You can get a digital copy. You can get a physical copy. Share it with your friends. It's got all 5-star
ratings. Link in the comments. Hey.
Yes.
Yeah, right there. Look at that. There it is.
Beautiful.
There's two new ones, you guys. There's 2 new ones right now in paperback.
Hell yeah. I think there was 3 earlier because I got one on the way. So
yeah, like you were saying, Dollar, it's all positive reviews on here. And like the thing I was like looking at is that like people who have also bought this book have also bought some pretty other prolific books. I mean, some of these books have like 14,000 reviews, 834 reviews. You know what I mean? I mean, look at this. 1,300 reviews.
Oh yeah, so, I was like a bestseller. Like I'm an actual best-selling author. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's crazy, you know, it's crazy looking back and just having all these memories and stuff, but it's not at all surprising, brother. That's what happens when you come with 100% of your heart and you come authentic and you come real. You got a lot of talent behind it as well. But I think that's what speaks volumes more than anything else is your character, who you are. Like we were talking earlier, that walk and that walk. Yeah, man, it's all true. I know it's cheesy. I don't take compliments myself well, so sometimes I worry that other people don't like them. But I love you, brother. I love everything you do. I'm a big supporter. I'm a fan of all your stuff. So keep us posted. Let's talk again soon. If you come out our way in Colorado, I definitely want to see you.
Okay, yeah, we'll watch like a basketball game or something. Like make some ask Myra to make some chicken adobo.
Oh, you got it, bro. Oh yeah, she definitely do that for you. Yeah, we were laughing. We were looking at your book and stuff today, and she was tripping too. She's like, "Oh my god," because she thinks of you guys, you know, back in the day, you know.
When we were little shits.
Little shits. I sent Mark some pictures the other day. Me and Mai pulled a bunch of we had this box of just random pictures. I mean, it was pictures of me in high school, pictures of like early days here in Colorado. But I found some pictures of Mark. Man, he was looking trippy. He was looking like a skinny ass little freshman.
Yeah, Mark was skinny. Like me and Mark were the skinny guys. You know what I mean? Like skinny tall dudes, and like now he's just like a bodybuilder. But yeah,
you were cracking us up on that last podcast.
You got a fat head.
You got a strong face.
I said, your face looks ripped.
Yeah, that was serious. It'll be fun to have you two back on together too.
Yeah, we got to do that.
Maybe we have Avery on. It'd be cool to have Avery, you, and him all together. That'd be fun.
Let's do it.
Oh yeah, look, there's the introduction right there. You got some parts of the text pulled up.
Yep.
Yeah, I loved that introduction. He did a really nice job with that. Again, though, that's what. Yeah, we talk about it. Yeah, we talk about it all the time. You know, that's what people are craving more, and that's what's becoming the thing. You go back 10, 15 years, whether you're talking about radio and podcasts, whether you're talking about music, whether you're talking about writing, shit was all like formulaic, you know what I mean? And like everything was so inside the box. And nowadays what people are really consuming more than anything else is that real shit, you know, like right at the beginning is like, man, Dom don't need no introduction. But then I like how he goes in immediately and starts talking about the truth was I wasn't sure I had the words to say what I wanted to say. And that honesty, I think that's what people crave because they see you as a real person and stuff. So good shit, man. Love having you.
All right, y'all have a good one. Stay blessed.
You too, brother. You take it easy. What do you say, Pierce? How you feeling, man? We're at about that time. Look at that. Right on time. 1 hour, 30 minutes.
Nice, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think dollar with that. It's a wrap, sir. Cheers.
Right.